Okay, and we're back. It's going to be lopsided, but that usually happens with these episodes anyway. So this will be a shorter half. So this is Birds of Prey, Volume 5, Number 9, World Without End, Part 1. Writer Kelly Thompson, art Jonathan Case and Gavin Guidry, and colors Jordi Belair. And I'm assuming that the art splits when they go into the other dimension because of the style change, that those would be the two, but I don't know who does what. This is from the publisher synopsis. If the Birds of Prey have one mission, it's protect Barbara Gordon at all costs. And that mission is not going great. Dinah and her team search for Barbara in this strange new world that seems specifically designed to trip them up. Many mysteries lurk in the dark of this world, and some of them don't even want to kill you, probably. So here we go. So you have, I'll ask you this just because you're a first time speaker on this, and you just said that you read 1 through 9. What are you thinking of this era of Birds of Prey, the Kelly Thompson era?
Well, I know when it first started, I had trepidation like, what is this team? Why isn't Barbara running it? And I was not feeling great about that. But then people I trusted pretty immediately were like, yeah, but it's Haley Thompson and it's pretty good. And that was definitely what I found today. I just thought, and it was actually really fun to read them just all in a row. And so I would give it the same compliments that I was just giving the older issues that we were talking about. You've got this camaraderie and sisterhood and people caring for each other. You've got this humor, but you also have like these are formidable women and you do not want to mess with them. They're coming for you.
Yeah, you certainly do not. Thoughts on this cover?
I think this cover is cool.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of it's showing you straight out who you're dealing with, and Barbara is foregrounded, which I think is great. I like the transition with the colors, and I like that everyone is wearing a pretty different outfit. It's
Yes.
not like the old days where all the women were dressed exactly the same.
No, no, it is certainly not. Yeah. Yeah, the cover and I think the art internally, it's I really enjoyed the art this issue. I liked both sides of it. I liked the
Mhm.
transition to when they're in this portal and just the
Yeah,
style, the
it's really
costume
neat.
changes, the
Mhm.
tonal colors. Yeah, really inventive and clever and just great art.
And it's a little, how do you, I don't want to say blurry, but it's like
No, it's kinda like
hazy.
yeah, definitely has, like, a
Not
fog effect going on, yeah.
It's just, like, not it's not sharp, even the people in it,
Yeah,
I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, so I did like both sides of it as well.
absolutely. Golly, yeah, it's funny because I feel like not a lot actually happened in this particular issue. If you think
Oh,
about it, like they fell through the portal, they found Barbara Gordon, but Barbara Gordon is not Barbara Gordon. And then they go
yep.
to another portal. But I had a lot of fun with it. There are a lot of great lines. I mean, it even starts out with somebody touching someone else in a bad place. And I'm like, who's who? I wonder who is saying this. And then it tells them to move their hand. And then I mean he's like, don't move your hand like that. I my favorite line, well, there are probably 2. I really like Barda saying, that she had bad news, and Dinah's like, "No more bad news," and, then Barda says, you cannot refuse bad news, Dinah." Wait, did I think I kept saying Barbara. Dinah's the one who's refusing to listen to the bad news, but my
Yeah, yeah.
favorite line is when they find Dinah in a hole. And Vixen
That's a good
says, "The great Barbara Gordon felled by a hole."
one.
The indication so this is not actually the real Barbara Gordon, which we find out later on, and it is Cassandra, to tell us that this is not the right Barbara. Cassandra's kinda looking shifty-eyed right here at this bottom page, but
Mhm.
it's really after this running that, Cass grabs Dinah and says, "That's not Barbara." Do you
Yeah.
feel like of all the people, it would have been Cassandra to spot that this was a fake? And would you say, it's because of the movement? And we know Cass's ability to see someone and know them by their movements?
Yeah, that's exactly how I took it. That and that's why she says it after the running.
Yeah.
Because what she actually says dialogue-wise doesn't seem that off, right? So it has to be something about the movement.
Yeah. No, everything else except for there's like a weird mannerism that Dinah's narration box says Barbara looks as nervous as I feel. And
Uh,
that's like a little sheepish, but otherwise, yeah, I don't I mean, it could nothing. I was shocked when it wasn't Barbara, so I wasn't put off by anything. So I think, yeah, it's all movement based. Golly, yeah. Just man, the use of colors and the art is just like I'm just looking at this page where Dinah is using her sonic cry to knock the faux Barbara out, and then there's like this holographic effect almost with the pinks and the blues. It's just yeah,
yeah,
really great. Danny the Street reference, which
I
admittedly I had
loved
to
it.
look up. I was like, "Who's Danny the
Oh,
Street?" But I thought that that was great.
you didn't watch the Doom Patrol show?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well,
Do you
it
recommend the Doom Patrol show?
I do.
Okay.
It's crazy and I got sucked into it.
Oh,
And yeah, I think it's worthwhile.
okay. Good to know. Just like the what show did we watch when I visited you?
Oh, Titans.
Titan. Yeah, we watched Titans, and then what was that show we watched on Skype that one time with the kids?
Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights. I never followed through with that. Did you finish watching that?
No,
No. Okay.
no,
I remember that was a fun experience though to watch it with
it
you.
was. That was a good way to do it or to deal with it.
Yes. I was shocked about Zealot reappearing because I thought, "Oh, we're done with Zealot. We're done with Harley Quinn."
I thought so
Um
too.
Yes. So this is interesting. So Meridian, even though she went through the portal, it knocked her back, and she goes to find someone that can help her out. Zealot's a cool customer, or maybe a cold customer as always, and kind of is calling into question Dinah putting the lives of everyone else at stake just for Barbara Gordon. Um, but she's coming along for the ride, and we'll see. And again, a half naked man. Do you think does your partner does he open the door half naked?
He does not.
This isn't what
But
men do?
having not all men. Um, but since I read all nine of them today, I can tell you that the previous time we saw him, he also wasn't wearing a shirt,
Oh dear, oh dear.
which is kind of funny continuity.
Yeah,
Maybe he just doesn't.
he
I
just
mean,
doesn't.
he's clearly quite fit, so maybe
Yeah,
that's just a thing.
and he's in his home. Is he also drinking the coffee out of the carafe? He's,
It
like, drinking it out of the pot.
looks like it, looks like it.
Man.
He likes coffee a lot, I guess.
Do you know anything about this zealot person?
I was going to ask you that
Oh, do
because
you
I'm
know?
not really up to date in other
Yeah.
stuff.
No, I just did my kind of tangential research when she first came on the scene, so I only did a little bit of stuff, but I'm glad
Mhm.
she reappeared because when she left, I was thinking to myself, I have so many questions and now they're
Mhm.
never going to be answered. So here she is again, and so maybe we'll get some more answers. And then yeah, we don't I would say I have no idea what's going on. Do you have any guesses? We do something the only thing we get is that, it seems like Barbara is somehow doing it. I'm trying to think of where this particular line was.
Is it Barbara's pretty twisted inside, huh?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
this is some sort of landscape that she's like a mental landscape, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that either Barbara somehow made it or whoever, whatever entity is doing what they're doing here somehow pulled this from Barbara.
yeah.
Yeah, so I
I
am
just enjoyed
curious.
it. I love it. Yeah. Hmm. Is there anyone you can think of off the top of your head that would have this sort of power set?
No,
Okay.
because it doesn't seem like a scarecrow thing.
No, unless everyone's subjected to the madness.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like that. So no, I really don't know.
Do
But I
you?
like
Yes.
I like the whole that there's something going on with the red and the green.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where that goes.
Yeah. I was wondering if we would pull someone in from the green. Since we just have Mari, and Mari said she's not connected. That was the first bad news, that she doesn't have it. The second bad news is that Barta doesn't have her power stick. And
Yeah,
nobody has any of their weapons at
again.
all. So that's
Hmm.
that's the big thing. Does this seem like someone, do you think that this is a new creation by Thompson, or do you think it's going to be someone that knows and loathes Barbara very much in her
Hmm.
history?
I don't know. I think it could, I mean, it certainly could be either. Like the whole thing with Sin and Megara is different.
True. Yeah.
So this could just be something else like that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have met people who do mind altering stuff.
Yeah. Very true.
So is this really a portal to another place, or is it just a portal to some different kind of mind space and this is magic? Like there's a range of
You,
people that,
it, yeah. It could be like, remember Harley Quinn? Was that the most recent one where they went into her mind because she was accidentally doing stuff when she was sleepwalking?
okay.
Do you remember that? And they're like different, they would, different Harleys would appear in different places in there. I can't remember how the little guy sent them in there, I think,
Uh,
whatever his name is.
uh, yeah, it'll come to me later.
It's quite all right. But yeah, I don't know if that's we're in pockets of her mind. Who knows? So does that mean Barbara Gordon's trying to kill Barbara Gordon?
Well, I don't think we know quite what's going on with Barbara Gordon, right?
No, we certainly do not.
We know
Yeah.
that someone from the future is trying to kill Barbara Gordon, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So this must be related to that. So is this that the person from the future is doing this, or is this some kind of, so is this whatever all this is this to get the birds away from Barbara?
Oof.
Or is this just somehow some weird thing that we're going to find out is helping the birds figure out what to do to help Barbara?
Yeah, I don't know. It's all a big mystery. I have no answers.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a setup
Yes.
issue in
Yeah.
many ways.
Any other thoughts on issue 9?
No, just curious I think it looks great and I'm curious to
Yeah.
see where it goes. Did you see that
100%.
at the end there's an ad for a Dreamer story?
I saw that, written by Dreamer herself, Nicole Maines.
Yeah, so I think that's cool.
That
I
is
mean,
absolutely cool. Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I guess she had already written something.
Yeah. I remember
Um,
reading about it ages ago and then I forgot about it.
yeah,
But I
there
can
we
see
go.
why it sort of went into that COVID
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, she said she went in pre-world shutdown 2020 with a pitch to DC offices. Man. Yeah, that's great. Like coming from screen to page.
Like Iman Vellani writing Ms. Marvel.
Oh, yes. May she rest in peace.
I'm not that worried. I think it's gonna work out.
You think Ms. Marvel is going to resuscitate from death?
I thought she did.
Oh, did she? I don't know. I've just been so
She's just a mutant. Isn't she just a mutant now?
but um oh, I I
I'm
thought she
sorry
was
for
a mutant, but then
Gloria.
she was killed off in Spider-Man. So as long as she's revived from that, I guess we're okay.
Yeah, she got better pretty quickly.
She got better from death? Oh,
It happens.
comics. You crack
Oh,
me up.
comics.
Oh
You've
boy,
done
oh
it
boy.
again, comics.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, what would you give this out of 10? Inappropriate touches?
It's hard because there isn't really a lot happening.
Yeah,
So, I don't know, I mean, what's here is good, it just isn't a
yeah,
lot on its
yeah,
so an 8
yeah.
maybe?
8 and 8 or an 8.5, yeah. I forgot to say that
Okay.
in that dog pile, Bart is on the bottom and she's like, "I'm getting up now." And everyone's like, "No," because they're about to be flung to the ground.
I loved the earlier ones when she's calling Cass Little Bat and
Little
Small
bit.
Bat. So adorable.
Would you buy do you think it would sell a Big Barda, Cassandra Cain buddy cop miniseries?
100%. Yes, bring
Same.
it.
Yes, it would have to be written by Kelly Thompson though, because I don't think anyone else would be able to understand how these two are interacting, but 100%. I think it'd be great.
Or
Okay.
or,
Yes?
Bar Barta Cass Steph.
Ooh. Wow, I wonder what Steph would be like adding that into the mix.
I don't know,
Even
but I
more
just think that the
zaniness.
way Barta just says these so funny, dry, matter-of-fact, literal things,
She sure does. I mean, she
and
ripped off her
says,
costume in the previous issue. And then she pulled a Scarlett O'Hara, did you see?
she tried to own people as slaves?
Oh my gosh, she wore curtains.
Yeah, I know.
Ah, but anyways. Okay, so we're going on a new segment, inspired by one of my friends over at Required Reading. Is Stella? Maybe not. I can't remember who suggested this, but this is now called Stella's Dungeon of Smut because I read so much that I might as well just put it in here. But I will only recommend ones that I think that you should read, so 4 stars and above. But I have two
Yeah,
questions. This is so I said, Donovan, do you have any questions for the good Professor Coca? And he wonders if you have a favorite erotica, and also, do you have a favorite erotic fan fiction that you've read that has featured DC comic characters?
uh, I'm sorry, I know this is disappointing, but no and no.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is disappointing. Okay, well, you were almost just like us, but now you are no longer. Okay, let's see. 4 stars or yes,
Did you I just thought of something though.
please.
Um, Sunstone? Stepan Sajić's
Whoa,
Sunstone?
yes. That is a
I'm I'm very out of date on that. I mean, I think I only read the first volume and there's been quite a bit more, but I thought that was really good.
yes, and that in fact was pretty erotic. Now, something that I wonder about the BDSM community and beliefs. Do you know anything about the community culture belief system? No, man. I just don't know who to ask. But it seems like, and I don't know because I've read all of those. I don't know if it gets into it in volume one, but it seems like BDSM almost sorry to use this word, but trumps or is I don't know. It's just like above orientation, sexual orientation. So even though you might be engaging woman, they don't consider themselves a lesbian because it's more about the BDSM. That was kind of the thing that I was getting in some of those volumes, and I wonder about that. Like, oh, so you're just like, it's more the dom sub is like the sexual orientation rather than anything else. But you can't answer that question for me. So it's still a question that I have. Someone can reach out to me if you are a member of the BDSM culture, and let
That's
me
a
know. Yeah. See, I always forget where I am here. I will say Aaron Hawkins, surprisingly us. I did give that 4 stars. I didn't think I from the preview, I did not like the guy, but he was actually better in the actual novel. Something that happened though on Goodreads is that people were review bombing this book before it even came out because they didn't like the preview or the guy. So they were giving it 1 star, which I think Goodreads need to fix that so that you can't review it unless it's actually out. I will also say, just looking through all of these here, oh, Bittersweet Heart by Helena Hunting, which is about a professor and a student. But don't worry, they wait until he's no longer the student. It starts with a one night stand, but they didn't know. And then that he, oh. It was really good. I will recommend that. And so it was really good. I tried the other two, they're not as good. The Graham Effect
Okay.
by L. Kennedy, 4.5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend. And then the final one that I read, The Dixon Rule, which just came out. I kind of team read that with Donovan, also by L. Kennedy, 4 out of 5. So there
Hmm.
you go. So that's
Wow.
Stella's Dungeon of Smut. Now we'll move on to my literature recommendations. Before I do that, do you have anything that you're reading that you would like to recommend to the people?
Yes, I wrote it down a few things that I read recently that I would recommend.
Okay.
The first three are nonfiction. Number one, Making It So by Patrick Stewart.
Oh,
Yes, that's right. Captain Jean-Luc Picard. This is his autobiography. And because I love his voice, I listened to the audiobook. And obviously, the guy is a class A super actor. And so you just feel like he's acting a one-man play at you.
oh,
It's,
at you.
it's a total joy to listen to, and I recommend it. Yes, there is a lot of stuff about Star Trek and Picard, but he totally pulls you in just talking about the way he grew up in England and how he got into acting. I mean, it's just super, totally holds your attention. Um, I am currently okay. So also, I would recommend an audio book version of this, which is "What a Fool Believes" by Michael McDonald, who with Paul Reiser, the comedian actor
Yes.
Paul Reiser, they're friends, I guess. So this I went back and forth between the book and the audiobook. And there are a couple little music breaks in the audiobook, which is cool too. So Michael McDonald, if you're not familiar with him, was a session musician and background vocalist for a lot of people, most famously Steely Dan, and then became one of the lead singers of the Doobie Brothers, which he still is 50 years later. So that's just kind of a fun 70s rock and roll kind of autobiography. The other nonfiction thing I would recommend, which it also is covering the 70s, is The Blues Brothers, An Epic Friendship, The Rise of Improv, and the Making of an American Film Classic by Daniel DeVise or Device, or Vice, I'm not really sure. But that is kind of covering exactly what it says in the title. It's about John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, but it's also about all the 70s improv groups that would turn into Saturday Night Live and SCTV and National Lampoon and movies like Animal House and Vacation and the Blues Brothers and whatever. And it's also a lot about the music and the drug culture of those times as well. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I recommend it. And then fiction wise, um, I wanted to, are you, did you check out the TV show called Shard Lake on Disney Plus? Did you see that?
I've never even heard of it.
Okay, so it was this mini series that was on Disney Plus. It just dropped a few weeks ago, and it's based on the first book of a 7-book series called the Shard Lake series, which is basically about this guy who is a lawyer in medieval England. It's during the time of Henry VIII, and he winds up kind of having to solve mysteries as part of what he's doing with his clients, and they're all bound up in all of the religious conflicts of the time. And there's all kinds of stuff about class and gender, but it's really kind of about how everyday people really lived during this time. It's not all royals and bodice ripping kind of thing, which I know can be fun too. Um, but this is different. So if you're interested in like, and the guy who wrote this book series has a PhD in history and also a law degree. So he knows whereof he speaks, and they're just really compelling. Like they're good on their own as mysteries, but they're also great historical fiction if you're interested in those kinds of things. Okay. So then the other things are this one recommended by my daughter, Avatar
Oh,
the Avatar the Last Airbender, The Rise of Kyoshi by FC Yi. She recommended it when we finished watching the new live action show, and it's about exactly what it says. So if you're an Airbender person, it's a good book. And then lastly, The Kamigawa Food Detectives by Hisashi Kashiwai. I'm sorry if I butchered that, translated by Jesse Kirkwood. This is a really short book, and every chapter in it is really a different story. But the gist is this man and his daughter run what is essentially like an unmarked, awesome food place where people come in and they can't remember a dish or they don't know how to make it that really meant a lot to them from something that happened in their life. And so they tell, excuse me, the father and daughter who are running this place, like kind of about the memory and what it's associated with and sort of what the dish was about. And then these two people go out and do all this research and try to track down the exact ingredients from the exact place where the person must have eaten it. And then they recreate the dish. And so inevitably the person comes in the end and they taste it and they all of these great memories come back to them. So it's just sort of delightful and
Mhm.
sweet, but it also tells you a lot about Japanese food and culture. And so it's just really cool. It's like a big bestseller there. And the first book has been translated here. The second book is being translated now. So that's my recent list. All good stuff.
Wow, I don't think I've had a guest that has had like more than one or two, so thank you.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying all the stuff I've read recently that I didn't like that much, but all these things
Yeah. No,
I
I
can,
try not to recommend or I say it and I'm like, maybe don't
yeah.
read it. For me, I will recommend if you are an educator and you are teaching writing, which I think that everyone should be aware of how to properly teach writing to your students and implement it in your class, no matter the subject matter. But that was my final course in grad school, and I really appreciate it. And it was also the most difficult for me in how to translate what I was learning to the Latin classroom. But I'm always up for a challenge. So, The Writing Rope, a framework for explicit writing instruction in all subjects by Joan Sedita. Teaching Writing Well, how to assess writing, invigorate instruction, and rethink Revision by Ruth Cullum, and Best Practices in Writing by Steve Graham. So all
Hmm.
of those are great. And it's not just, I mean, there are some like philosophical topics and things like that, but also really practical things and actual like sheets that they can give you to figure out how to, like activities and things like that. So I recommend that. I
But wait,
finished.
wait, hold on.
Yes, please.
Okay, so are these like because you're giving sort of iterative writing assignments that you're seeing different drafts of, and so you can guide them along the way, or is it just like how to on one specific discrete assignment, how to set out questions for students and your expectations of what their writing should contain?
Both.
Or can you give me,
Both.
okay.
So it would help you through all grade levels. So this is not just upper, but lower as well. And I think would also be helpful for higher education. So, for example, I joked about that person who's writing the Wikipedia and that, hey, we could make those complex sentences. So there would be activities like that. Like, how do you teach someone to make complex sentences? And then there would be activities like if you're talking about different genres or modes of writing, actually starting from the like explaining it. Let's do planning. Let's have model text, like how to use model text to actually teach them. Like if you have a Hemingway, section or something, you're trying to teach something very specific. Actually, look at. I don't know why I pulled him out because I despise him, but just like you would use that to model that, and then say, okay, let's do what he was doing and write it and then go through, yeah, all the layers like the planning, the actual writing, revision, all that stuff. So I've come up with some good because I brought in other assignments that I'd used for Latin class and like, okay, how can I change what I was doing? Like, for example, I usually do a unit on the underworld and we read different excerpts like Virgil I'd bring in or Ovid talking about it. And I would also bring in C.S. Lewis with his discussion on the Gray Town in the Great Divorce. And then
Mhm.
I thought, okay, what if I bring in a modern tale with Percy Jackson and how that's presented? And I usually just have discussions on how the underworld in different cultures is described. And so
Mhm.
now I've added a writing assignment of called My Personal Underworld, and it's a descriptive piece where the students would choose a place that they just don't like, and so they're describing it using all their senses, and those would be the model texts, of course, that we've had discussions, we've worked with them, we've read them, so something like that. So, yeah, it really helped me because I like to write, but I always assumed that the students already knew how to write because I was teaching 8th graders and up, right? Well, I'd be like, "Well, they're doing this in English class, why do I need to be like, 'This is how you write a persuasive essay?'" But now I recognize you really should assume nothing, and so
Yeah.
just being better about that and setting them up better. And I usually have a short essay on all of my assessments that's dealing with culture somehow. So having better prep at that. And also, I think understanding where they are by using like pre assessments and just getting to know like their writing styles. Because I don't typically do a lot of formal writing, but now I can bring in more of that and get to know them. So I really liked that. That was an elective. So I really wanted to figure out how to do writing better because I do a lot of writing in AP. And so I'll be teaching 1 through 5 at the new
Mhm.
school, and I'll definitely be having some some written assignments in the upper levels because that's like the best way to discuss some of these authors that we're doing.
Yeah.
So something you might like, Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. Takes place in the 50s, Chinese American, kind of the height of McCarthyism. There's a
Hmm.
lot going on, but she's also discovering her sexuality. And the Telegraph Club is a gay club. There's a male impersonator there, and that this like young lady finds a clipping of, and she's like becomes slightly obsessed, and like then she finally goes. There's more that goes on, but Tom recommended it to me, and it was really good. Paper Towns. I didn't hate it, but I didn't care for it as much. But definitely, that's going to be our next required reading with Tom and Stella, so you can listen to that. And then Eurydice, which is a play by Sarah Rule. I thought that was pretty good. It was an interesting interpretation. And
Hmm.
then a book that's the N word. It is an autobiography by Dick Gregory, who was
Oh,
a
yeah.
comedian. Yeah,
Mm.
and so yeah, it was interesting to slash sad to read about his life. But that's what it's called. I liked the inscription. It was dedicated to his mother, and it says basically, "Mom, if you hear the N word, it's publicity for my book." Which I thought was really cute, but he does talk about that. Yeah, and I didn't realize he was involved in civil rights and everything, so
Mhm.
it was really interesting. So those are all of mine. Any final thoughts? How can we promote you and your rise to political power? When are you going to announce your candidacy for the presidency of the United States?
Yeah. Well, it is hard to get on the ballot in all 50 states. No, I don't have anything in particular that I'm not writing a book right now.
Oh,
I know, right? I'm taking a little break. So I don't really have anything to talk
okay.
about.
Well,
Any
do you
Oh, I guess,
have, yes?
wait, I did think of a thing. So
Okay.
I have been, I have a relationship with the gang at the Talking Comics
Yes.
podcast. And so a couple of them and I are irregularly discussing Doctor Who.
Oh, who's its
So
what's
that's
its?
in the Talking Comics feed. Yeah, so we are talking about the new shows that are just starting with shooting Gatwa. But we're also going to do one episode each on all the old doctors, starting with the first
Oh.
doctor from the 1960s and going through. So for those of you who aren't sure where to start or what those older shows are like, you could be on the lookout for specials about the first doctor, the second doctor, the third doctor, etc. We've only done the first doctor so far and talked about a couple of the new ones. So the second doctor we'll do shortly.
Okay. There is I don't know if I sent it to you, but there's I really like Princess Weeks on YouTube, and she did a
Mhm.
video on the beer maiden, that I guess the black she was black. I call her beer maiden. Companion.
Oh, okay. the companion.
Yeah.
The newest companion is not
No, she would have been, I think she was with Matt.
with Matt's. Are you talking? I mean, there was an
Was there more?
African. Well, I mean, there was a companion named Bill
I can't remember what her
who
name
was
was.
with Peter Capaldi's doctor. There was
There was more than one black companion. I'm surprised.
yeah,
Wow.
one with David
Well,
Tennant.
let me, oh, your boyfriend. Let me pull it up since so now that so I can properly publicize it because I know nothing about who's it's what's it's, but I
That's why
will.
I'm trying to help educate the people.
I know, but it's just too overwhelming.
That's why
Um
it's why we're doing it. That is the point.
Martha Jones.
Yeah, Martha
It's
Jones.
Martha Jones Deserve Better and Other Correct Doctor Who Takes is the
That
video.
is correct. I totally agree with that. But I do usually agree with Princess Weeks.
Oh, oh, do you like her as well?
Yeah, I don't, but
Okay.
I'm less a YouTube person and more, does she still write for the Mary Sue?
I think
I mean,
she might, but maybe infrequently. Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely read some of her stuff there.
Yeah. That's all I know about the Who's It's What's It's. But you and Shagalicious, you're in good company. Have you ever met Shag?
Well, I think we were together on an anniversary show of yours, maybe,
Oh, okay. Well,
but
that'd be interesting.
I don't know if we did video. That
Oh,
might have
okay.
been the audio days so long
Yeah.
ago.
So long ago.
Yeah.
You said you're not writing, but do you have thoughts about another book? Okay, so you think you're done?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
That's something I have to think about. I mean, there was definitely a period in between when I used to write about like gender and law, and when I started to write about gender and comics, like there was a period in between where I was like, I'm not really sure what I'm doing next. But that's when I became like the director of the women's center at my school, and I was doing all this like uh anti-violence work
Yeah.
and workshops and things like that. So like that kind of filled that middle part, and then I kind of stumbled across doing what I have been doing. So I feel like I'm in this other period where I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep writing about this kind of stuff or do something else. It's an odd feeling. But I am spending more time on my classes and things.
That's
So
good. Yeah. And then you get some high marks on ratemyprofessor.com.
oh, I have not lately,
Oh no.
from what I've heard.
Oh
Yeah.
dear. Oh dear. Do you think you have a chili pepper there?
I did used to have a chili pepper.
I'm so glad you know about this. Oh
When
man.
people try to inform me, because sometimes it's like like sometimes I'll have a student who will be more annoyed than I might get because they'll be like, this person on Rate My Professor said you don't review, but you do. I'm like, yeah, that's annoying. This person said you're an unfair grader, but you're actually not. I'm like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta take that stuff with a grain of salt for sure. So,
Yeah.
well, unless
So,
it's me, maybe I'm going on there and review bombing you.
right. So be careful out there,
Yeah,
students who are relying on Rate My Professor. Sometimes the things are
yeah, misleading.
actually incorrect.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on this show. It was
Thank you
brief.
for having me. I'm
Yeah.
glad we could talk for these 5 hours or whatever.
It was not, but
No, are you sure?
it was
Okay.
70% your fault and 30% mine. Remember that you can send any questions or comments to backrollauracle@jbell.com. Would you like to share your email or do you just want me to field emails and send it your way?
That's fine. I mean, if anyone did want to get hold of me directly, my school email is COCAC, so my last name and first initial, COCCAC at oldwestbury.edu.
And she will, if you ask her, she'll send you a signed photograph. Like the show on Facebook or follow it on Twitter at Backroll Oracle. Subscribe to the show on YouTube for an uncut version. and also with images. Follow the Batman Universe on Facebook and Twitter as well, and support the Batman Universe by subscribing to patreon.com. And of course, once again, thanks to Mile High Comics for sponsoring Batgirl the Oracle, the Barbara Gordon podcast. Please let me know if you agree with me that we should probably exile Donovan Morgan Grant and any other Batman apologists. Um, Listen, I'm just trying to make the world a better place. Okay. And until next time. Oh, next time, let me tell you, I'm moving next month. So you can expect a lickety split episode with one issue of Birds of Prey. One issue, as long as there are no philosophical things I need to. I'm sure I'm going to field a bunch of problematic issues from Donovan after this. So I'll have to talk about that. But then just one issue. So it might be like 30 minutes. Wouldn't that be lovely? It's happened before. And then that'll be the last one in this landscape. You know, I have this poster that I'm super excited to put up, but I don't know where I'm going to put it. Of, do you remember this? I'm sure you would have seen it. It was probably early 2000s. All of these DC female characters, all in white, in like,
Yes.
yes, I have that poster, and I've
It's
been
nice.
waiting to, yeah, to frame it and put it up. And so that might be my new backdrop. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah. So until then, until next time.
Fly on, Babs lovers.